Okay, we're going to switch. Well, look who's here.
Good morning,
Are we
Ann.
talking taxes again?
Talking taxes, but I want to tell you what a great show today is.
Yeah.
Honest to God,
Nice people,
the
huh?
topics, unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. But today, I know we've talked a bit about getting your taxes done for free, which is really essential. And they can still do that right now up until April 15th.
Right,
roughly.
correct.
But you want to talk today a little bit about W-2 forms and W-4 forms. And I think we have a couple of panels there that we can show.
They'll flash them up.
Yeah.
First of all, regrets on Joanne.
Yeah, Joanne. Yeah,
She,
I've been in communication
Yeah,
with her.
so she's on the road to recovery. So
Okay.
what my knowledge is about the topic is kind of limited, but hopefully we'll get through it. The whole process.
Oh, this is your topic?
No, this is not my topic.
Okay.
But the whole process.
But you're going to step up.
Yeah. The whole process of filing taxes begins with your W-2.
Mm-hmm.
And most people.
What is a W-2?
The W-2 is what is required to be out to the employee by the 31st of January each year. That tells the employee what salaries were collected during the year, what state taxes were withheld, what federal taxes were withheld, Medicare, you name it. It's got to be documented on the W-2.
And it shows the deductions too?
Well, it depends. It'll show deductions for retirement,
Okay.
those kind of things, not medical, but for the IRAs or 401 or 403Bs.
So they get this, and this is what they're going to need to do their taxes.
That's it. You can't do it otherwise without that W-2.
Right. And if you don't work, you probably won't get one.
That's correct. So the W-2 comes to you from your employer.
Mm-hmm.
If your review of the W-2 has an error, then you've got to go back to the employer and
Get it corrected
and
one.
get it corrected. And then you'll see.
How would you know there's an error?
Well,
Unless you keep track of every...
well, the number of hours or
Oh, I see what you
that
mean.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then at the top of the W-2 form, there's a little box that says corrected W-2 if a second one is issued.
Okay.
So the thing that you need to remember is that besides you getting the W-2, that same form is transmitted to the IRS.
Mm-hmm.
So they know ahead of time what your return's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So
Don't fudge.
don't fudge. Honesty is always the best policy. And what we find out is that as you go through the income tax filing process, one of the things that occurred during 2023 and is also happening this year, 2024, is that the federal government has adjusted your withholdings. The table that employers use to calculate what needs to be withheld.
So that brings us to W-4s.
Correct. So the W-4, let's say for example, we do your taxes and you got to pay. You got a tax
You
liability.
want zero deductions in.
Well, even with that done.
Or -1? Can you get a -1?
No, you can't get a -1. But even with that done, you still got to pay. So what you want to do is to avoid having to do that the next year. So one of the things that you do is you take the W-4. Now the W-4 is what you generate. You are telling your employer what you want them to do in terms of whether or not you want to take dependents during the course of the year or whether you want to withhold some funds.
That's what I did. I had extra money taken out.
So, and that's what I do too. I withhold from each pay period $125. My philosophy.
You can get it back if it isn't.
Well, that's right, because that's my philosophy. I'd rather that they have the money and for me to collect it at the end of the filing season as opposed to having to pay.
Right.
So the W-4 is what you tell your employer in terms of the extra funds you want withheld out of your pay period and whether or not you want to take any dependents. Now, we always suggest you take zero.
Yeah. Be on the safe side.
Well, only because if you end up taking a dependent, they're going to take less out, which is okay because that's more money in your pocket. But then that's the caveat is you're going to pay for that money at the end of the season. You're going to owe,
Exactly.
you know, unless you're, and most people don't go through the process of, they take the standard deduction. They don't go through and do itemized deductions, because you need to come up with the itemized deductions have got to exceed what the value is of the standard deduction, whether it's a single, filing single or filing
Right.
married. So that's the gist of where we're at. The filing season has been going well. We're into the second month, and it typically slows down a little bit during March. And then towards
And it panics in
yeah,
April.
yeah, at the end of March and into April, it's holy, my God, I haven't filed my taxes yet. So what we try to do is avoid having all those train wrecks come in at the end of the season, because, you know, our job, simply to put it succinctly, is that our program is to provide an opportunity for the low income and seniors on fixed income access to free tax preparation.
And then they get that money back and put it back into the community, and don't take the,
Yeah, don't take out the anticipatory refund.
It's called a
loan.
loan.
Yeah. And sometimes you can.
They're saying that now. Now I heard
Right.
the ads that say that it's a loan.
Yeah, it's a loan.
And I thought somebody must have gotten on
Yeah.
them.
Well, in the beginning, they tell you it's an interest-free loan.
Yeah. Oh, it's not interest-free.
If you don't make the payment. If you make the payment, it's even Steven. If you fail to make the payment, or your refund is less than what you took out, now you're stuck with an
Yeah, you're
interest
stuck, yeah.
and penalty fees. So
Yeah.
it's
Well, don't do that. Just, it's only,
yeah,
what,
it's
7 or
not
8
worth-
days?
yeah,
before
it's not
you-
worth it.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
through the VITA program, it's direct deposit in 5 to 7 or 7 to 10 business days. If you provide your accounting number, your
Yeah,
account
your routing
number
number,
and
routing number.
then it'll be a direct deposit. So-
Okay, but I have a question.
Sure, go
Okay,
right ahead.
so I happen to be in the hospital, and I'm realizing that I'm not going to be able to get my taxes done by the 15th. So what do I do when I get out of the hospital on April the 30th?
You give Uncle Richard a call.
Okay.
And then what we'll do is, when you're ready to provide us with the information, I'll get a volunteer, we'll sit down, we'll get your return filed. You may have a penalty because of the late filing, but
There's no excuses.
correct.
Okay.
You know, there's, and that's part of our job to the community, is to make the service available. The service also is the #1 way to lift families out of poverty. And a good example is this past week we did a return. The wife worked in Walmart, so it's low income job. He's disabled, and they have, I think they had 3 kids. So that's how you get access to the earned income tax credit and child tax credits, is by having children, low income job. Federal refund, and it was amazing. Federal refund was $10,000.
What?
Yep,
He had $10,000 taken out of their
No,
pay?
$10,000 that he's going to get in credits,
Oh, in credits, okay.
in the earned income tax credits, $10,000, and New York State was giving him $3,600. And that's a big chunk of change that helps that family, lifting them out of poverty. It's the #1 way the federal government gets people out of poverty.
It's really a situation that I was not aware of. Well, I was aware of it a little bit, but the amount of poverty there is.
Oh, yeah. Particularly in our community in Rensselaer, 65% of the kids qualify for free or reduced lunch. The poverty rate for kids is probably statewide is 1 child out of 4. So
Really?
yeah,
That's
it's
a lot,
25%.
25%, yeah.
And it's actually slightly higher, just slightly higher in Rensselaer. But it's something that that the program tries to help address by providing the free income tax preparation and filing.
And we should also give a shout out for Circles of Mercy,
Well,
of
thank
which
you.
you're the executive director, where you have a number of programs that work with the families as
Yes,
well.
right now we're gearing up for our Easter basket program. We have, in April, we have a fundraiser. We do an Irish night over at the Hibernian Hall. The Good Times band will provide the entertainment.
Yeah, they're exciting band.
They're great.
Yeah.
They're a lot of fun. And then in June we do our signature gala. I'll be back to
Good.
give a pitch for that. And then all during the summer we collect back to school supplies
Yeah.
for the high school kids. We do the pre-K and high school kids.
So even though there is poverty, there are people like you and the people that support you that will work to try and lift that, just to lift the burden.
Yes.
You're not going to lift them out, but you might lift that
Yeah,
burden. a little.
and give them that incentive.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
to become a better parent.
Yeah, Richard, it's always good to have you
Thanks,
on the
Ann.
show, and have a successful tax season,
Thank
and
you.
then take a deep breath when it's all over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a big cocktail.
Yeah, whatever. Say hi to Joanne.
I
for me
sure
as
will,
well.
thanks.
Yeah.